Okay, I started the recording. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Let me start record. I have started recording now. And I am sharing the screen now once again. Okay, so let me start. So this particular plugin called Blueocean. So I have installed a Blueocean plugin in my Jenkins account. This is my Jenkins dashboard. You can see this is the classic view, right? So this is the classic view. You can see the number of jobs, the pipeline jobs individually here. So this is the theme of this is classical theme. If you want to see a particular job related related build related outputs and or different jobs that are run for a particular pipeline, you have to go to that particular job. This is how the UI actually looks like in the classic view of Jenkins. And here you, if you want to see one particular build, you have to go to the build here in the bottom left. You have to click on that particular build. Then you have to go to the console output to see the build specific logs. So this is what the build specific logs is that it's all like the entire logs are cluttered in one page only. They are mixed in one particular page. So these are all the logs like you can see at one go itself. So this is a typical classic view of Jenkins build, right? Instead, if you install uh, Blueocean Jenkins, this is how the job looks like. So here you can see the job console output is well formatted. So it's the UI is UI very friendly. You can easily bifurcate different things. So you can actually when you click on deploy, you will see only deploy related logs. These are the deploy related logs. It says start deploying of app server, and then the deploy related commands and the logs related to the deploy and deployment success. So this is the new UI. There's a Blueocean plugin. If you install the Blueocean plugin, okay, okay. So let me connect to using sudo. So I'm trying to install Jenkins once again. Okay, let me connect. So I'm connected. Okay. So if you're trying in your home in CentOS 8, so probably this is what command we have to execute for sure, because there is some problem with CentOS 8 with respect to the repository mirror lists are not defaultly arranged. So I have to install that. Okay, so this is the classic. This is the Blueocean plugin. It's a Blueocean new theme, new view that you can actually see. You can try it out. It's very friendly. So here, this is a button in the right. You can see that, right? So this is actually to rerun. If you want to run, if you are in a job 52 and you want to run the job again, then you can click on this particular button. Then it will actually rerun the job. Okay, and if you want to go back to the world view, then this is what the button is. Like here in the button in the rightmost, you can say go to classic. So if you click on this particular button, you come back to the world view. World view. So in the dashboard, you can see the world view of classic view of Jenkins. So we can actually switch toggle uh, from normal classic view to blue ocean view. So here in the blue ocean view, you will have this particular button, open blue ocean. Once you click on this, you will get back to the blue ocean view. You can see the difference, right? So this is like the dashboard that you see. These are the three pipeline jobs you can see using the blue ocean view. In the classic view, you can see in this way. This is the classic view that you can see. So that's what I just wanted to show you. And in the previous session, we were actually stuck in the Jenkins build was not we were not able to hook up with GitHub, right? So that actually happens. I'll show you that why that happened. Because at least for the first time, we had to successfully build the Jenkins jobs manually. From the next time, it will automatically pick up from the GitHub. For every push, it will happens automatically. So that's I just wanted to show you that also. So probably I'll quickly install Jenkins and all um, related Jenkins and try to create a pipeline and show you that. So let me go through that steps once again. So let me go to Jenkins. course. So I think for now we installed Jenkins 3 times in the session, almost like 3 times. Three from since 3 sessions we are actually discussing about like Jenkins. So for it, we are actually starting from scratch. So now also again I'm trying to install the same Jenkins once again, so that you can feel that Jenkins installation is pretty straightforward. You can install it very easily. So let this happen. Let this Jenkins installation happen. Now, after Jenkins installation happen, I'll quickly show you a running Jenkins and the integration with GitHub. That will make you comfortable, like how it is easy to actually install, integrate GitHub with the Jenkins. So after that, we will move to Ansible today. Yeah, so Jenkins installation happened. So let me start the Jenkins service. So Jenkins service will be started, and you get the URL. Jenkins URL, you can actually get it from the public IP address. This is public IP address. You can just go to the public IP address 8080, and you should be good. Let the Jenkins start. So I hope you all guys have actually at least installed Jenkins in your machine. Um, so if you have installed in your machine, you can just go to the port 8080 and play with it. Okay. Okay, so we have Jenkins. We all know that why Jenkins we are using. Why are we using Jenkins? So basically, it is used for performing CI/CD pipeline of your GitHub repositories, right? So all your code, whichever you have in GitHub repository, you can perform build on that particular repository, try to uh, run the test, so which is called continuous integration, and then you can actually do a deploy into a different machine. So we perform complete end-to-end CI/CD pipeline using the Jenkins plugin, right? So, so I have also introduced in the past sessions, if you remember. So systemctl, I have introduced systemctl commands. So we have systemctl start, systemctl enable. Systemctl start will actually the start the service, Jenkins service. Systemctl enable will actually help, will actually uh, make sure that whenever you restart your machine, it also starts automatically. So whenever your system boots up, it actually installs, it actually starts this particular system automatically instead of you explicitly saying the service to start. So by default, whenever the system shutdowns and when it starts boots up, the the services will start again. So that is why we actually execute enable. Now we have our Jenkins is running. Now we have to expose the port, right? So we know Jenkins port runs under port number 8080. So you have to go and actually explicitly enable the inbounds of the Jenkins server, enable inbounds and add 8080 in 8080 port in the security groups. So once you save this particular inbound rule, you should be able to access the Jenkins server. Our Jenkins server, whenever you actually start for the first time, it will ask for the admin password, right? So you will see that. So it will ask for administration password. So it will also say the administration password is there here. So you have to go to that particular file. So I think CentOS doesn't have VIM, it has VI. So open that particular file and you have the secret password already built. You need to use that particular password. So yeah, so it asks for installing some predefined plugins. So for some recommended plugins, it asks to actually install. Now you are installing all the recommended plugins. You can say Git plugin is a predefined recommended plugin. Similarly, pipeline, LDAP, email extension, SSH build, and Gradle, pipeline stage view, credential bindings. These are all defaultly recommended plugins. After over it, you can actually install many other plugins. Okay. So now we are after we are installed these plugins, we are good to go. Jenkins will actually ask for a initial username, user using which you can actually log into the Jenkins dashboard. So this we have done in the previous session also, just to uh, for the sake of um, for the sake of more um, keeping in keeping the steps registering ourselves in memory. I'm actually follow doing the steps again and again so that it may be uh, easy for you to for next time to recollect the steps of installing Jenkins, right? Now we have Jenkins plugin. Well, let's the Jenkins plugin go on. So after this, we will be installing the Blueocean plugin, and we will create a small pipeline. Just we as we have did in the last session, we will do the same steps so that we can easily recollect. We are comfortable with all the steps, basic steps of Jenkins. Okay, so let's do that step by step. So let this Jenkins build happen parallelly. So let's see what we have covered till now. So we have covered almost everything in the slide as per the slides. So 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 we'll not go through. So we'll not go through these steps. We have already discussed role-based authentication. I think we are pretty much comfortable with RBSC and pipelines. How to create a pipelines? We already gone through. We will go through again. We'll just create a sample pipeline for now. We know that how to create a pipeline, and so that uh, by seeing those steps again, we can actually be comfortable saying that creating pipeline is pretty much straightforward. It is not a alien thing. It's a pretty straightforward thing, and it is way normal steps, basic steps, fundamental steps in Jenkins pipeline. Okay. So we have gone through this. I recommend you to go through these slides and go through the video. They are pretty much very much matured, and they will. If you don't understand, you can actually iterate through videos once again and again, and just follow the steps. You will become Jenkins experts. Okay, so most of the things are covered here. Okay, so we had last step, you remember, like I'm again trying to recollect master slave configuration. I think you are comfortable with, right? So I hope you all have actually gone through these and try to create on your own uh, at least once, right? So if you are okay, we can actually spend some time now also to parallelly. If you don't have time out of the after the session, if you don't have time to do that, uh, so if you recommend me to actually parallelly everybody follow the steps in your laptop, you try to do the same steps, then I think that will also be very good if you follow the steps, because if you put your hands on, then only you will actually remember all the steps. And I think that is the best way, like so you try out of your own, and if you are stuck in some places, right, then I would actually try to debug along with you and try to make it working. So that way actually you will be really learning things. I think that will be good. So I'll highly encourage everybody to actually parallelly run all the steps that I'm doing, and try to see that you're actually able to follow the instructions parallelly, right? So just let me know if you are stuck in somewhere. I hope that everybody is doing parallelly. So creating AWS account is pretty straightforward, and it doesn't incur cost as long as you actually immediately delete to the EC2 instance. Then it doesn't cost you much actually. So every whatever steps I'm doing, right? So those steps you can also do parallelly. So I would actually say you to just create EC2 instance, follow these steps one by one, and you should also be able to do that. So let me know if you are doing the steps, and if you're stuck on anything, just let me know. I will also work with you. Now, now that our Jenkins dashboard is still under process, so it will take some more time. So let the Jenkins dashboard get ready. Okay. So here, just wanted to mention like we have what we have covered and what we haven't we have covered completely, right? So we have covered end to end this all those things we have actually covered, but what we haven't covered, I will try to explain you that. So I already have a personal Jenkins. I will actually try to cover that actually. So typically, what is a Jenkins pipeline? What is the scripted pipeline actually mean? How does it actually look? So we have already gone through this pipeline. I will actually go through the syntax once again. So probably I will actually open one particular Jenkins pipeline example, which basically is there. Maybe I'll show. Okay, let me show you the repository from the repository itself here. I'll open in that browser. I think it's in incognito mode. Let me open it here. Mm, okay. Mhm. So a typical Jenkins pipeline project is looks like this. Okay, so it's every Jenkins pipeline script starts with this word pipeline. Pipeline keyword is the initial script, initial word that is the starting word for any kind of Jenkins pipeline script. So followed by list of sequence of instructions. So in this one of first instruction is agent any. So what does that mean? What does that mean actually? Agent any. So agent any means like we already have discussed about master slave configuration if you remember, right? So a typical Jenkins dashboard will have at least one master and multiple agents. So these agent means like the slave. So in master slave, slaves are agents, right? So even master is also agent. So by this configuration, what does that actually mean? Like, so these scripts that we are trying to execute can be executed in any agent, whatever agent is available. That's what we are saying. So run this particular script in any agent. So that is what this instruction actually means. Run, so or you can actually give that particular agent specific agent name. So if you want to run in particular slave only, then you can actually mention that particular agent name here. So that is what agent any means. And after this, there are a sequence of stages. Okay, so STAGES. So there are a sequence of stages, and each and every stages is nothing but an array of stage. So you can add as many stages as possible under this stages block. So you have the stages block, and then followed by multiple stages. So each stage will be of this syntax. You can clearly see that, right? Stage build, stage test, and stage deploy, stage release. So we have 4 stages here under the stages. Okay. So this is how a typical pipeline, Jenkins pipeline looks like. So inside these stages, you can actually execute any kind of script. So typically here I have written a shell script. I have written a shell script to execute, and it is a simple echo command. It can be any other commands based upon the kind of build that you are going to execute. So we it's out of scope of our session. Like so these particular instructions that we are going to build are specific to the project that you are building. So your GitHub may be any kind of project which can be written in any kind of language, right? So the steps that you are going to write as a part of build, as a part of test, are specific to your project, right? So that's what we can actually write as a part of each and every stage. So this is an example of a scripted pipeline, which is written in Jenkins. So that's what I just wanted to execute. So you can just execute this particular script. You can create a pipeline project in the Jenkins, and you can execute this particular script uh, as a part of the CI/CD pipelines. Okay. Now let's hope that our build is over. No, it's not yet over. Okay, today also it's taking a lot of time. Okay, so this is about the scripts, right? So scripted pipeline. Now we can actually we can also write a declarative pipeline. So there is like scripted pipeline, declarative pipeline. Um, sorry. So this is the declarative pipeline. So we can write a declarative pipeline, this which looks like this, or we can write a scripted pipeline also. So Jenkins, so that scripted pipeline is like old way of doing things, where we can actually write the a scripted pipeline using language, Groovy language. Okay, so I think nowadays the easiest and fastest way people actually prefer to do is like a declarative pipeline. So which can be done as a part of a syntax which is visible to you. So this kind of syntax generally people actually do to perform the regular CI/CD pipeline specific tasks. Okay, now now coming to other things that I wanted to cover in Jenkins, we can actually cover in Jenkins. Uh, are like how we can actually, I said you the last session, we can actually create a EBS instance. We can actually create a EBS instance. We can the steps here mentioned are pretty much clear and straightforward. So nothing is missing as per my knowledge. So they are pretty straightforward. You just need to follow these steps. So in the previous session, if you remember, we have done deployment in the Elastic Beanstalk using Travis CI. Now we are following the same deployment of our code in AWS Elastic Beanstalk instance using Jenkins pipeline. So the steps are pretty much clear. So please go through these steps one by one. Please go through steps. I think we have already discussed all these steps a little bit. By looking into these steps, you will be feeling comfortable that I have already done these steps before. Okay, so just follow the steps and you should be able to deploy a typical build which is in your GitHub repo into AWS EBS instance, Elastic Beanstalk instance. Okay, so just follow these steps, and these steps are like 43 steps. So just need to follow these steps. Okay, so once you do these steps, our Jenkins session should be complete. Next, let's wait for this to happen. It's take a long time. Okay, so once this installation is done, we'll just have a quick overview of how to install Blueocean plugin. and we'll quickly do a GitHub integration with a repository and perform a build so that we are comfortable with the Jenkins pipeline creation practically. So we can actually, from there, we can pick up, we can do our own projects, pipeline projects. So at least like one pipeline project, we should be able to build seamlessly. Then other projects should be very easy to go. Okay. Um, so just keep in mind that when you actually create a, which I'll discuss later also. So when you actually create a GitHub repository, build a GitHub repository. So basically, GitHub repository can be of two types. One is like the private repository. It can be private repository or it can be public repository. So the public repository doesn't need any kind of credentials to be mapped in. So it can be seamlessly integrated very without any credentials. But if it is a private repository, you need to provide some authentication. There are different ways of providing authentication. And the best way of providing authentication, a very straightforward way of providing authentication is via personal access token. Okay. So you can actually create, I have already mentioned you, like how do you create a personal access token? But for the sake of uh, reminding the steps again, I can actually quickly go through the steps for you. So if you remember, like personal access, you have to go to your GitHub repository here, and you go to the settings. Go to the settings, and here in the developer settings, in the bottom, there is a section called personal access token. So you can create your own personal access token by by generate new token button. So by this, you can actually create your personal access token, right? I think you remember the steps again now, right? So just create the token. Maybe like I'll just say my token, and I want to give whatever permissions I want. I based upon the necessity, I'll just give few permissions. So I want to send email. I generate token, and you go. So you have this personal access token. Always remember this personal access token. Keep it. Remember this, and next time when you actually want to integrate a private repository in GitHub, this will be helpful. So basically, where if your private repository is of type HTTP, URL is you have to append this particular token in the GitHub URL. I'll just give you an example of how to do that. Uh, for example, I will remember this token, and I'll remember this token somewhere. Now let me go to the GitHub. Now I have to go to the GitHub. I can just okay. Suppose this is the Python project that you are going to use in your Jenkins, right? So the steps that you need to follow is like copy this particular URL. So you have your HTTP URL, right? So once you have this URL, the URL should be modified to some little bit extent, like copy this URL and the token is here. So your URL should something look like token at the rate github.com. Okay. You have to add this URL. So it is not the straightforward github.com. You have to say token at the rate github.com. So if you say token at the rate github.com, then even if it is a private repository, uh, the Jenkins should be able to authenticate automatically. Okay. So that's how you actually do authentication. That's one of the way of doing authentication. Okay. So for example, if I want to create a freestyle repo, right? This is my personal Jenkins dashboard. Our demo dashboard is a little bit slow. It is still trying to build, install. It is still trying to install all the plugins, recommended plugins. It is taking some time. So I am using my personal dashboard, Jenkins dashboard. I am saying my custom pipeline. So once I create a once I create a custom pipeline, I can create a freestyle project. I can create a pipeline project. I'll create a pipeline project. I'll create okay. Okay, so you have this pipeline project, right? Now you can actually build using SCM. It's a typically GitHub project. You can just copy this particular project GitHub URL, and you have to type the personal access token here. This is one of the way of authenticating using personal access token. You can just mention that URL, and in the build triggers, last session we also discussed, right? Similarly, you have to open GitHub trigger like this, GitHub trigger, and you say that you have to mention that the pipeline is belonging to pipeline script from SCM. So there in the SCM you have to mention the type Git, and in the type and URL you have to mention by typing the same URL. Okay. So once you have already given the pipeline credentials here, right? You have given the credentials here. So you did not explicitly mention the credentials again here. It can be none. So if it is not successful, it will definitely give you an unsuccess results immediately. For example, I will do some typo error here. For example, I'll say Python nweb. So you can see that it is not able to connect to the GitHub repository because I have given a wrong URL, right? Only if it is able to, if you are giving the correct URL, and if the credentials are correct, then only it will pass. Okay, now it is passing, right? So this way you actually mention the pipeline script URL. So here you are mentioning that it will actually build it to master, and the script file path, you can actually say this. You can actually change to any particular file, but this particular file should be there uh, in the GitHub repository. Okay, so this Python web app should have that file, Jenkins file or Jenkins. So these files only you can actually give. So you can give Jenkins file, or you can actually give Jenkins also, Jenkins, and then you can just say apply. Okay, and save. Now you can build for the first time. You can see that the build is successful now, right? The build is successful. So this is how you build the Jenkins pipeline, and the Jenkins pipeline can be automatically started for every push. For every push also you can actually so whenever you do a GitHub push, automatically it will get the build will get started automatically. Okay, so let me see if okay, so our dashboard is ready. It is asking for the first username password. I am again entering the username password. Okay, so if you remember, we have something, we have to set up the hooks, right? For now, because I have set up a new Jenkins dashboard now, it has a completely new URL. So this is the new URL. So I have to go ahead and I have to reset the webhooks. So always remember that webhooks are should be updated with the appropriate Jenkins URL, right? So this is the new Jenkins URL, which starting with 13.234.38.90.800. So this is the new GitHub URL I have started with. I have to update it. Once I update this, so my Python project should be ready. Now, now I will just follow the same steps which I have followed here. So I just need to configure my new Jenkins. I will create a new pipeline project. I'll say new pipeline project. I'm just doing the steps again in the new machine that I have created. Okay, in my pipeline, I will just create a new pipeline. I'll say okay. I'm trying to do it very quickly. Okay. Okay. So for the in this machine also, I remember I haven't installed Git. So I have to go ahead and install Git here. So how do you do that? So to install Git is pretty straightforward. You just need to yum install Git. So let me connect to the machine back again. Let me connect to the machine. It should be pretty straightforward. So it takes some time to actually connect back. So because I haven't used this terminal, it got timed out. It will again reconnect back. Mm, okay, okay, it will take some time. So meanwhile, okay. So now I'll connect back to the machine. Now, right, and then I say install git silently. -y means silent. So it will try to install git now. Okay, so git is getting installed. Mhm. Okay, so git got installed. You can just verify with, I think I can just type git, or maybe I can type version also. Okay, so git is there. It complains the version is don't know, it doesn't know this. Or I can say, okay, I have to type git dash version. Now git is installed successfully. You can verify that. And once git is installed, you can start your own pipeline. You created a new pipeline called my pipeline. Now you can mention the GitHub project URL. This is a project URL. Remember, I have used personal access token way of authenticating my GitHub. Now GitHub hook trigger. I have already configured my webhook in GitHub. So I will use this particular GitHub hook trigger for Git SEM polling. Okay. And then I will select the SEM, select the SEM. Let's say I'll select the SEM as Git, and I will again mention the GitHub URL. So if the URL is correct, so the warning error, everything is gone away, right? So that means that it is able to connect to Git. And I say master, and this is a Jenkins file. I can use only Jenkins because I saw that I also have Jenkins file also there. Right here I have two files. I have Jenkins file, Jenkins file. Both are there. I can use any one of them. For now, I will use Jenkins only. It's pretty straightforward, very simple pipeline steps. So I will use only Jenkins. Only Jenkins. I'll say apply, save, and at least build for the first time. And build should be successful, right? Okay, so the build is successful. I think I followed the steps successfully. Now let me do what I did last time by doing a push. So I'll try to push it. So just push it. I'll do a test push now. See, I did a test push, and it got executed now. The second build automatically got started. right? So I did a push on GitHub and it successfully executed a job two. The job two executed. You can verify that. Once you go to the particular job specific console, you can see that who has actually triggered. So go into the console output. So here you can see that uh, the GitHub, it was started by because of the GitHub push by Anil, but it was not manually built, but it was actually automatically triggered build by GitHub push. Just let's do uh, this again. Okay. So now if I actually I will not execute the build again. I'll just execute via GitHub push. I will do some again another GitHub push here. Probably I just remove this test and I'm doing going to push. I'm doing a test push again. Okay, I'm going to commit the git. So once I do that, here third job will run, should run actually. Yeah. So the third job got started. You can see that here, right, in the top bottom left, the third job got started and it will execute successfully. Now the third job has executed successfully, right? So this is a simple demo of how to do the how to actually hook GitHub repository with Jenkins. It's a simple. These are the simple steps, and it works seamlessly. So last, if you remember the last session, we were not able to successfully do that because at least for the first time, we should be able to do a successful build like there because last time there were some wrong errors. Red colors were there in the stages, right? So if always remember if there is any error in the build for the first time, then somehow git push will not be effective. It will not work. So at least for the first time, you should be able to build all the stages successfully. And only if you are able to do the successful build for the first time, Jenkins will automatically start building from the next time. Whenever there is a good push, it will automatically start building. Okay, so that was actually missing in the last session. Okay, now let's quickly go through the Blueocean, what we have discussed in the last session, saying that Blueocean is a very powerful tool for UI purpose, right? Now you have seen this is the classic view, and nothing so much. So if you want to see if you want to see the build, you have to click on many times. You have to go to the console output here, then you can see what are all the logs that happened, right? So instead of that, you can for using Blueocean, you just need to install Blueocean. So Blueocean, you just type in available, go to the available tabs and just type Blueocean. So you have the Blueocean here. Now this is the first result that comes, right? That's Blueocean. Now click on it and install without restart, and you're good to go. So Blueocean installs a lot of things. So let all these steps happen. After this, all this installation of all the Blueocean specific plugin libraries are installed, then you can just restart the Jenkins. Then from the next time, the UI will be having the features to have a rich experience of Blueocean. Okay, let's wait for the installation to complete. Okay, so we get it right. So I think we are all are experts in Jenkins now. Okay, so we can do a lot of stuff using Jenkins as now we are comfortable with all the fundamental things which are required for creating a Jenkins jobs, right? So we have covered a lot of things in Jenkins, and I think if you just go through iterate through all these things, you can comfortably say that I can build any kind of Jenkins jobs. So um so we have also covered a few steps where sometimes the UI may be looking different and you may feel nervous saying that, okay, this is not Jenkins. So that's not the case. That may be Blueocean. So that may be just a plugin of Jenkins where they might have changed the UI, right? The look and feel they may have changed. But internally, the core fundamental steps to create a pipeline and all those things are actually same. Okay. the UI, the flow of creating pipeline, they may be looking different for different industries because of the installation of the plugin. As you can see now, right? I'm installing Blueocean. The UI will completely change now. So let this installation complete, and then I will show you how the UI has completely changed, how the pipelines creation steps are also changed. Previously, how we have created the pipeline. Now, after installing Blueocean, how the pipelines are changed. You can explicitly see that. Okay, it is taking some time. Okay, so after this, we'll quickly move to Ansible today. Okay, so let's move to Ansible. I'll try to open Ansible slides. Where are we? Yeah, so we are in topic number 15, Ansible. This is Ansible. Do we have an Ansible repo? Okay, so fine. So we'll quickly start with Ansible. So last session we have already introduced about what is Ansible, right? Ansible is a configuration management tool, which essentially is used to deploy softwares automatically without any manual intervention. So that is a basic idea of Ansible. So basic idea of Ansible is to be able to configure your production or your developer machines or your test machines automatically using scripts. Whether your machines are outnumbered, they are in hundreds or whether in thousands, you can just run your Ansible scripts there and deploy in all the hundreds and thousands of machines with a single command. So that's the basic idea of Ansible. Always remember that is the main purpose of Ansible. So anybody asks you like what is Ansible, don't get much if you don't have much amount of technical definition knowledge, right? Always remember this in mind. Basically, it is as simple as like whatever you do manually, whatever you deploy manually in a particular machine, whether it is any kind of operating system, whether it is Windows operating system, whether it is CentOS, whether it is Linux, Debian, Mac machines. So all those things you can just install whatever softwares you want. Whatever softwares you want to install, you can do it via Ansible. Okay, so so basic idea is like write the script to install a software once and use it as many times as possible. So that is the basic fundamental idea behind the Ansible. So Ansible is such a powerful tool. It has such a powerful ecosystem that it can pretty much do anything with when it comes to deployment, when it comes to installation, it can pretty much do almost everything what you do manually. So everything, whatever you do manually can be converted into automation scripts using Ansible. And the power of Ansible is it supports all kind of operating system and it is basically a agentless software. So that means like you need not have any kind of agent to be able to running on that particular machine where you want to deploy. Okay, so you have your own laptop where Ansible installed. You just need to connect to that machine where you want to deploy the software, and you're done. So that is the main powerful feature of Ansible. Okay, so we'll go through these steps one by one. Let parallel, let's see how it is going with respect to Blueocean deployment. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so Blueocean deployment is done. I will try to restart the Jenkins. Okay, so I am restarting the Jenkins. After restarting Jenkins, you should be able to see Blueocean UI. Blueocean switch button will be there. On click on that particular button, you can switch from classic view to Blueocean view. Okay. Okay. Okay, I hope you are comfortable with right now. Like we are almost done with Jenkins. I just wanted to show a Blueocean view right now. How did we install Blueocean and so on. And after that, Jenkins will be done. So let me know if you have any doubts on Jenkins, then we can discuss on it. Okay, so we are back to Jenkins. We are logging in here in Jenkins. So now you see in the left left navigation bar, we have a button open Blueocean, right? So that's what is the switch that happens in the so from the classic view to the Blueocean view. You click on this Blueocean, then you see the magic. This is the new view, right? This is the new Blueocean view. So whatever pipelines that were created before, it will also be visible here, and that's it. So you go to the pipeline, you can see the list of all projects, all the jobs that were run. So you remember these are the Git pushes that I have done just few minutes before. Test push again. You can see that here, and you can see all the stages of the pipeline: the build stage, test stage, deploy stage, release stage. All the stages are here. So and specific logs you can see here like this. So our logs, haven't much amount of scripts there. We have echo commands which are displaying start testing, deploy, start deploying, and so on, right? So this is the Blueocean view. You can actually look into this. Okay, so it is pretty much user friendly. Because of this, many people are preferring to use Blueocean plugin in their Jenkins dashboard. Okay, so you can actually rerun the jobs by just clicking it here. You can switch back to the classic view if you are comfortable. If you want to go back to classic view, click on this particular button and you come back to your world view. All right. So now we are comfortable with Jenkins and what are the different plugins and how did we install Blueocean, right? Cool, cool. So awesome. So let's close Jenkins for now. So we have shown the pipeline creation. We have executed GitHub and we have actually implemented Blueocean as a demo for today, and that's enough for now. If on need basis, we can come back if we have enough ample amount of time. Now let's move to Ansible now. Okay. Okay. So Ansible. So what is Ansible? Ansible, we know that is a powerful deployment tool, which we can automate any kind of deployment using Ansible. So Ansible is being used in as many industries. A lot of industries are using Ansible, including Microsoft, IBM, Google. Everyone is using Ansible. Ansible is basically built on Python language. Okay, so the entire tool, Ansible tool, is written on Python. Okay, so for that purpose only, you can see that for installation of Python, you need to have Python. Installation of Ansible, you need to have Python. So that's by installing Python. Ansible is also pretty straightforward. The steps to install Ansible, at least here, we have already given the steps. You can look into the slides. So this is the basic preliminary step to install Ansible. Before that, you have to go through what are the prerequisites to install Ansible. Okay. Um, okay. So what are you going to cover as a part of Ansible, right? So we at the end of the slide, we need to know, like we need to be experts in Ansible, right? So basic idea of Ansible we know, but what makes you feel like you are an expert in Ansible? I can do anything with Ansible, right? So what we need to know, what are the basic things that we need to know to make us comfortable saying that now we are experts in Ansible, right? So what we need to know is exactly these things. Okay, these things are very much required, pretty much required. And once you know each and every uh, points mentioned here, then you are an expert in Ansible. So you should be able to install Ansible. What are the prerequisites to actually install Ansible? This one you need to learn as a basic fundamental thing. Once you are able to install Ansible, once you are comfortable installing Ansible, then what are the different features of Ansible? Okay, so these are the basic main features in Ansible. Inventory management is a very important feature in Ansible. Ad hoc commands. Ad hoc commands are another very important quick way of executing Ansible commands. Okay, ad hoc commands is one of the important feature of Ansible. Okay, then playbook. So what is playbook? You need to learn what is playbook in Ansible, and configured management in Ansible. How we can actually, how is the how is Ansible being configured by different ways, right? What are different ways of configuration? What is the default of configuration? How can you do custom configuration? So this that you can actually learn as a part of configuration management in Ansible. Okay. So next comes roles. Roles are also like very important concept in Ansible. We need to learn about what is roles. We'll go through all these steps one by one. Okay. And Ansible wallets, and there is one small. This is about just learning about how we can install. It's a exercise of installing some K8 clusters in Ansible. So once you cover all these topics, right, you are expert in Ansible. You can feel comfortable saying that I know I can install anything using Ansible, right? So try to understand each and every point step by step, right? So first we'll go through how do we install Ansible, what are the prerequisites for Ansible, and how can we install Ansible. First, we'll go through that, and then we'll go through inventory management, ad hoc cloud, command, and playbooks, and configuration management, roles, and Ansible wallet. Okay, so we'll go through all these points one by one. Okay, just keep this mind. So always keep these high headings in mind, and then we will dig deeper and deeper. We'll do practicals on each and every step one by one. Okay, now yeah, so we already discussed what is Ansible. It's a lot of theory. Yep. Why it is used in industries. It is very highly efficient and so on. So we know that Ansible is very efficient, highly efficient, and it is widely used in the industry. It is highly powerful, heavily powerful, and pretty much simple. It is agentless. So we know this. That's why Ansible is a topic now. That's why we are discussing Ansible, right? So we'll just jump into practicals. We'll just jump into practicals. How do we install Ansible? Okay. Okay. So before jumping into Ansible, we need to know some of the terms in Ansible, right? So these are the terms basically used in Ansible. So playbooks, tasks, actions, facts, hosts, groups, handlers. I don't want to do a big lecture on what are the different terms, what are the different things that we can do in Tangible, because uh, because it actually is already recorded in video. If you can actually jump there, uh, we will try to cover as much as is possible, as much important things as possible, which we need to actually really memorize, right? So just try to remember all these terms, right? So try to remember all these terms. These are the common terminologies which are used in Ansible. Like I'll go through them, give a small definition of each of the things, and that should be enough for you to actually remember uh, what they are. Okay, playbook. Let's come to playbook. So basically, playbook in Ansible is nothing but a a scripted file. So it's a basically YML file. I hope you know what is a YML file. So assuming that what is a what is a YML file, so basically, playbooks are nothing but a YML files. Depending upon the scope of project, it can be complicated YML file or simple YML file. So at the end of the day, playbook is a YML file. Playbooks are set of YML files which are used to execute a particular deployment script in Ansible, or to perform a set of tasks in using Ansible, right? So they are YML files. In the YML files, there can be different tasks, and each and every task can have multiple actions. So that's where comes the tasks and actions. Okay. So once you open a playbook is a YML file. Remember that it's a YML file. Okay. So once you open that YML file, you have different tasks, and each and every task has actions. So that is all about tasks and actions inside the YML file only. Will be able to see tasks and actions, and each and every task has a purpose. It performs one particular set of actions, right? So it can actually do a installation of a typical software, or it can actually do a typical copy. It can execute a simple command, terminal command. It can create, it can do make dir commands, or it can just do remove dir, or it can copy files from your host machine to the Ansible, from the Ansible host to the remote machine, and so on, right? So they are called tasks and actions. Facts. What are facts? So basically, facts is about like imagine that what are all the properties, what are all the configurations of a remote machine where you are trying to deploy your Ansible deployments, right? So before deploying your software into in a typical remote machine, you actually do something called gather facts. You gather information about that machine. Okay, so that is what facts about, right? Facts is like what information you can just simply say that it is information about that remote machine. Okay, so you gather as a part of Ansible scripts. First of all, you gather the facts. By default, when you actually execute any Ansible playbook, it actually has the property gather facts. Gather facts is equal to true. It always has gather facts is equal to yes. That means that by default, it will try to gather as much as information from the remote machine for the purpose of executing to see what it can, what kind of operating system it is, what are the different environment variables it has, what is the directory structure it has, what softwares it already has installed, whether I need to install the software again or not. So if I have already installed the software there, shall I install it again? So you can make a decision upon that, right? So before make those decisions, you need to gather the facts about that particular machine. So that's about the facts. Okay. Okay. Now, what are hosts? What is a host? So basically, host. Ansible uses a predefined logical way of arranging all the remote machines in a understandable way. So, like you can imagine, Ansible can actually work on thousands and thousands of machines. It can hundreds and thousands of machines. It has a way to deploy hundreds and thousands of machines. Typically, in production, people just run Ansible command and over hundreds of machines, right? So in typical production machines or in typical those machines can be of different types, right? So those types you can actually logically group them together, and the way you group them are done via hosts. So the host, by defining a file called hosts, depending a file called host, you can actually group all the machines. Suppose you want to say that, okay, these all machines, so 1 to 10 are all belonging to production machines, and these machines all are belonging to developer machines, and these machines are all belonging to test machines. Like that, if you want to group them. So hosts actually has a way of defining grouping them into different kind of machines. That another way of categorizing the machines can be like, I want to group according to the region, right? I want to deploy all US region at one, US East region, US West region, US North, US South, Asia Pacific, like so different regions. You can actually club all the missions based upon them on their region, right? That's where you can actually also group the missions. Another way of grouping the missions can be based upon their functionalities. Suppose you want to group all the missions which are having databases only, like only Postgres databases machines, or if you want to have only those machines which are front end, for example, React based applications, React based machine front end machines only, or if you want to have like you want to group some machines which are only Windows machines only, so which have only uh, IIS servers installed. So you can group them uh, as like these are all Windows machines. So that way you can actually mention using hosts, using the term hosts. Okay, so hosts and grouping of those machines comes together. Okay, hosts and groups are the common terms to address this kind of features. Okay, next are handlers. Handlers are something interesting, which are not task. They are not tasks, but they are executed on some specific purpose. Like there is a pattern called notify handler pattern. Whenever something happens and you notify, then only a specific task executes. That is called handler. When handlers gets executed only when there is some notify happens. So that is what handler is. Okay. And ad hoc we already discussed, right? Ad hoc is something like ad hoc commands, Ansible ad hoc commands, as I have mentioned in the top. Here, here I already introduced what is a ad hoc command. So always remember what is a ad hoc command. For simplicity, you can just remember that ad hoc command is a single line of command which can be executed in hundreds of machines. So if you want to execute the same command in hundreds of machines, you just use ad hoc command. Okay. Suppose, for example, you want to copy one particular file into 100 machines. You can do that using a single one line ad hoc command. So to execute, so you just execute one particular line of command and it will execute in all the hundreds of machines. So that is the main purpose of ad hoc command. Okay. So this is actually introduction about Ansible. Um, so that is pretty much about Ansible that we are going to cover in the next upcoming upcoming part of the session. Okay. So similarly, there are few other terminologies. Okay. So this is basically theory of Ansible. Um, so now we will take a short break for 10 minutes and try to see what we can cover uh, more about Ansible, right? So our primary goal in our Ansible topic is to actually cover as much as possible in the given this list. This is our agenda, right? We'll try to cover as much as possible in the upcoming parts of upcoming session. Okay, so we'll try to cover all these things and we should actually feel comfortable about Ansible practically. Okay, we'll take a 10 minutes break and come back at 9:30. Okay, okay, thank you. All right, okay, welcome back. Okay, so we are now into the installation steps of Ansible. Okay, so what are the steps we need to follow to install the Ansible? So basically, Ansible is built on Python, right? So we need to install Python first as a part of Ansible installation. So installing by Python pip is a prerequisite for Ansible. So we already have a GitHub repo which actually gives us all the steps to install Ansible. So I'm trying to get to that point actually. Mm, Introduction to Ansible. Okay, I'm trying to get the GitHub repo where we already have noted all the steps to install. It's like just simple installation. Uh, Installation steps to. Okay, before trying to install Ansible, I need to create a EC2 instance, right? I will create a EC2 instance, and in that EC2 instance, I will install Ansible, and I will actually create multiple machines where I need to deploy software using the Ansible, right? So that is the basic idea. Mm, Um, God, let me see. Where are the steps? Mhm. Okay, so here we have Ansible written. Okay, yeah. So we have the Ansible instance here. So the first step is like let's go step by step. Okay, so to install Ansible, we need to have Ansible machine. So to one machine we have to create for Ansible. Okay, so let's go and create a Ansible machine here. We are done with Jenkins, so let me terminate this instance. I can terminate the instance now like this. I terminated the instance. Now let me launch a new instance. Let me call this particular machine as Bastion. In industries, if you go to the video session also, basically they use this particular term Bastion. So Bastion is you can be looked as a place, uh, as a machine, as an entry point from where you actually connect to multiple other machines. So it's a gateway to other machines. First, you actually generally in practice, you actually connect to a machine called Bastion from the external world, and from there you actually connect to all other internal machines. So I'm just following the industrial practice. I'm creating a Bastion machine. I'll go with CentOS again. You can actually install it in another machine for demo purpose. I'm actually trying to be consistent to actually always install in CentOS machine only. So I'm trying to install I'm selecting CentOS 8 machine, and it's a free tier. I'm just installing a machine called Bastion. So it will take some few seconds. I will create a new key value pair. I already have Jenkins pair. I don't want to use the Jenkins key value pair. I'll create a new pair. Okay. So I'll create a new pair. I'll call it as Bastion key value pair. Okay. It's a PM file I'm going to create key value pair. So as soon as I say create Bastion key value pair, Bastion PM gets downloaded into my machine. It is in my download folder. Okay. So for better purpose, I'll copy this Bastion PM file into my home directory so that it is easy for me for future purpose. Okay. Now I have created Bastion key value pair. So it's a minimal configuration. Um, okay, so I'm just verifying whether it is the minimal configuration. Yeah, it is T2 micro. It's free Ansible tire. Okay, I'll just launch the machine. I'm launching my Bastion machine there. So I am creating a Bastion machine. Now I'll just follow the steps uh, as per the Ansible prerequisite requirement. We need to be able to install. We need to be able to install Python. Before that, I will actually clone the repository, uh, AWS Ansible. So to clone this repository, let me to clone the repository, I have to install the Git software, right? I have to install Git. So before installing Git, this EC2 instance should be running up and running. So EC2 instance seems to be running. It is up and running now. It is running now. So I'll try to connect to the EC2 instance. To connect to the EC2 instance, all I need to do is like go to the connect configuration, uh, SSH client configuration. So this is the command that I need to use to connect, right? So I am trying to connect to the Bastion machine using this command. Okay. Now I will go and connect. So let me start from. Okay. Now I am using SSH to connect to the Bastion machine. Okay. Now it is saying something. Connection is refused. Uh, Probably because do I have Bastion PM? Yeah, Bastion PM is there. And security configuration, port 22 is enabled. Okay, then what? I should be able to connect, right? Connect to, okay, it takes some time actually. Okay, so okay, the problem is like the PM file that I have downloaded, bastion.pm, it should be having read permissions. I have to change the permissions. Generally, in AWS, any PM file should be changed. So I need to change the permissions to yep. So I'm able to connect to the machine now. So remember, like the Bastion PM that you have downloaded will be should be having 400 permission. So I changed the permission to 400 using this command chmod Bastion PM. After I change the permissions, I am able to connect to the machine. Now I am inside the machine. Okay. Now I am inside the machine. I am inside the machine as CentOS. So I need to change it to root user now. So to that, remember the command, right? Sudo su dash will actually help you to change login as root. Now you are logged in as root command. So now you can actually do all the prerequisite steps to required to install Bastion. First of the prerequisite is like, let me install Git there. So to install Git, I need to execute. I just need to execute yum install Git. This will go ahead and install Git. Okay, so CentOS machine has a problem of its mirror list are not predefined, pre-configured. So I need to execute this command. I will actually post this command in our chat also probably, so that you also know. So let me execute this. Now Git will succeed. So I generally, whenever I launch each CentOS machine, I make sure that I execute these commands. Just copy to everyone. So these commands should be executed so that all instructions goes perfectly. So now you can see that Git has got installed. Now I'll try to clone my Ansible, AWS Ansible repository. So that I already have here. I think this is a repository. Hmm, okay, pass. I can give personal access token also, I suppose. So I'll give this. Okay, cool. So I have cloned my repository. So here you can see that we have a file called package.sh. So you can see that I have a file called package.sh. Okay. So I need to install, I'll show you what are the contents of there in the package. So it contains all the scripts which are required to install Ansible. So, so it will install Git is already installed. It will try to install Python 3 and it will try to install Ansible 2. And then it will ask us to install some predefined uh, predefined few scripts which are essentially required as a part of Ansible installation. So it will try to ask to install Boto3. Boto3 is like a Python package manager for AWS. So it is AWS specific. We are running on AWS. For that purpose, we are using Boto3. Boto is already deprecated. For that purpose, we are using Boto3 for now. Boto3. And these all steps will actually help us in installing Ansible. Cool. Okay. So all we need to do is like execute this Python package. So I just go ahead and execute these packages. So ready. So we have installed and it is asking us to install few other things. So we are going, if you remember in the Python session at the beginning, at the first beginning of this class, we have come across something called creating virtual environment using Python. I actually recommend you to again recollect those discussions that we had before. So basically, Python has a way of creating virtual environments. So I'm trying to create a new virtual environment. Feel free to ask me if you have questions about this virtual environment. I will actually recollect back because yeah, so if you, I assuming that you already know that what is virtual environment in Python 3, I am creating a virtual environment called Ansible with name Ansible. So I created a virtual environment. I am trying to activate it. I am trying to activate the virtual environment now. Now I am in the virtual environment called Ansible. After activating it, I am in the virtual environment called Ansible. Now I will go ahead and install few pip related software. I'm installing Boto. Boto is deprecated. Boto 3 is now there. So I'm installing both Boto 3 and Boto. And final step, I will install Ansible. Okay, now I have installed Ansible. And before that, after that, I have to configure my AWS also. AWS configure is what I have to do. So in order to set up my AWS environment, I have to configure AWS. All right. So I hope I already have my AWS settings. Mm, So basically, I have to create a credentials folder to be able to use connect using AWS configurations. So let me see if I have the commands. Actually, those commands are like how to install AWS CLI. I have to install AWS CLI. Okay. So let me see. Okay, let me install AWS CLI. So let the Ansible is installation is going on. Parallelly, I'll try to install AWS. I'll look for steps for installing AWS CLI. So installing AWS CLI is pretty straightforward. Um, just go for the AWS documentation for Linux. Yes, so not Mac, AWS, not Windows. So I have to just follow this documentation of and I have to install the AWS CLI. So I hope curl is already there. Okay. So unzip work. Unzip is not there. Okay, so I have to install unzip first. So maybe like yum. Okay, unzip is installed. Unzip worked. And here AWS install. Okay, so now I'll say AWS configure. So it is asking for AWS access key ID and this one. This one you can actually always create it on your own. So we can just use this access key IDs to actually create a access key ID. You can just go to the IAM and just go and create it. Probably I can try that now itself. I think I have already downloaded one access key. Let me remember. I don't want to. Uh, if I don't want to recreate, I can use the existing access key. Use, so let me try to. So this is the PM already I have. I will. This is I think I have created this demo user access keys. Okay, so I have access key, private access key, or probably I can actually recreate right now itself. Um, so let me go to my AWS. I'll sign in to console. Just sign into console. So this is all AWS specific. So in order to run AWS commands, you need to have AWS access key and so on. So you can go to IAM. I think I already created IAM demo user. So if it is the same user I have created, then probably I will use the same thing. Okay, so demo user already I have created, and the demo user already has administrative privileges, uh, administrative access. So probably, and I have downloaded it in my local folder. So this is what I have downloaded. So I need not actually create. If at all you want, you can actually create a new user and download the private key. For now, I will use the same secret and access key ID and password. So this is the access key. I am copying this access key, going to the terminal and enter the access key ID. And secret key, it is asking for secret key. I will go ahead and copy the secret access key and enter this default reason. Okay, so for now, I should actually use the default reason Mumbai. For now, none. Let me put it none. Default output format none. Okay, so I have configured my AWS. So AWS should be working now. So, so as a part of the steps, I have configured AWS. After configuring AWS, what shall I do? Let me open the package.sh. So I have to AWS configure I have done. So then last step is like to execute the command. Before executing this command, I will try to explain what I am doing. So I am trying to execute this particular command, AWS Ansible playbook minus I inventory EC2 YML. So here I am trying to execute one particular playbook called EC2YML. So EC2YML is a part of this repository itself. Here you can see that YML is there here. So I am trying to execute in this particular playbook. Okay. So we have introduced one particular word basically the scripts which are necessary to run an Ansible, right? So it's typically a YML as I already discussed. Um, EC2.yml is a playbook which is a set of instructions, which are set of scripts, deployment scripts, which which run which are run by Ansible. So to run this particular playbook, we have to execute this particular command Ansible playbook. So let's go ahead and execute the command. Okay, I will explain you what we are doing here. But to for the sake of time purpose, we will concentrate on workable model as much as possible. So now we'll just execute this particular command. This is command is Ansible playbook minus I ec2.yml. So this one you can actually get it in our repo. We actually followed step by step. We executed Boto 3, then we installed Ansible, we configured AWS now. Now we are trying to run this particular playbook. So let's start, just go and run this playbook. Okay. Okay, I started executing this playbook. All right. So I started executing this playbook. There was an error, invalid subnet ID. Okay. Okay. So let's open what is there in the playbook. Okay. So here in Ansible, we have to closely see the instruction of the playbook. The playbook has a name. It has what are the hosts it wants to run, whether it needs to gather the facts, what is the key pair that we need to use, instance name, security group, and image, reason, subnet. Okay. So these are all the things we need to actually fill it accordingly. Okay. So let me explain what exactly each and everything mean actually. So key pair is like the PM file that we are going to use. So if you remember in our, if you remember in our, when we created our EC2 instance, when we created our EC2 instance, we have mentioned the PM file. Our PM file is bastion.pm, right? So we have to give the same thing, right? This is the PM file that is being used to authenticate our EC2 instance connection, SSH connection, right? So so that's what we are trying to do now. So we will go ahead and change the key pair. The key pair before it was used as AWS key, but now when I created my EC2 instance, I used Bastion as the key pair, right? So I will copy, sorry, I will type it as Bastion. Instead of EC2, I will type it as Bastion. Okay. Next type instance type that we are going to create, t2.micro. Okay. Security group. Security group, we have used default. Let's hope that default will work. Now, image name. Image name is what the name that we actually get it when you created your EC2 instance. So let's go to our instance. Here we have image name somewhere. We should be able to see the image name. Image name should be there somewhere here. Okay, so our image name is here, right? AMI-03 something. This is our image name. Okay, so let's see. Where is our subnet? So this is our image name. AMI, this one is our image name. And we should be able to see our subnet also. This is our subnet. We can use this subnet only. Okay, so we'll change all these values. Image name. Let's go and change the image name for now. AMI dash something, right? AMI dash, this is our image name, AMI dash. Okay, and our subnet. So this is our subnet, subnet dash something. Okay, we'll put this subnet name only, right? Yeah, subnet dash something. and which region does our EC2 instance belong to. You can see it in the top here. So I think I remember it is should be Mumbai. So it is Mumbai, right? Our region is Mumbai. Mumbai is AP dash south dash one. AP dash south dash one. AP dash south dash one. Security code, let's put is default key pair. Okay, so these are the values we need to change according to our deployment. So our EC2 instance is on key value pair Bastion instant type security group. We have configured it according to our machine. So let me save this. Okay, now let me try to run it again. I hope this time it should be working fine. Okay, so looks like it has got the proper configuration. So I'm just running the code at once. Later, I will explain what I'm trying to do because to save time. So let's make a working model. Let's make a model working, and then we'll explain what we have done. Okay. So now the magic is over. Now the Ansible playbook has done its job. Okay. Now let's see what has happened here. Let's go and open our instance. Where is our EC2 instance? Okay, now let's click on this instance. Okay, so now you can see that we have created another machine automatically. So that's the powerful of Ansible that I just wanted to display to you. So we didn't uh, use console. We didn't click on this plus launch instance and create instance. We just created instance by running the playbook. You see, so this is what the instance started by just running this particular playbook. We have just typed this particular command Ansible playbook minus I, and this particular command we have executed one line, and it has created a instance for us. So this is what the instance was created. Okay. Now you can see the the usefulness of the Ansible, right? So I was without any number of clicks, without any human intervention, uh, by by running a simple playbook, I was able to create a EC2 instance. I will explain you more. I will explain you another thing. Instead of creating one instance, suppose I want to create multiple instances. Suppose I want to create three instances of the same in the same EC2 EC2 service. I want to create three EC2 services. Okay, EC2 instances. Let me do that. Okay. So all I need to do is like uh, go to the I did the ec2.yml. There is one property which I already know. It's called count. So I will just go and add a property called count, and I will say three. And I will say this means that I want to create three EC2 instances now. So it is as simple as that. So now once again I will run the uh, script. So I will just again run this particular Ansible playable script. So just execute the script. Now you can see that how powerful Ansible playbook is. I just executed this particular playbook, and I should be able to see three EC2 instances by getting created automatically. Let's wait for some time. Okay, it is done. So let me refresh. So you can see that I have created three more instances of EC2 using the Ansible playbook. That is the power of Ansible. Uh, so using a simple playbook, EC2 YML is a playbook that I have used, and using that playbook, I have created three instances. Okay, so let me explain what is it. Okay, so so let's open that playbook. What exactly is this particular playbook? So a typical playbook starts with a triple three colons, not colons, three dashes, right? So three dashes. It typically starts with three dashes, and three dashes, which actually means that it is the start of the YML. According Ansible interprets it as like a new YML. Okay, now a new YML his script is going to get started. That's what Ansible interprets by looking into these three dashes, and after that, these are all Ansible specific commands, right? So this is the task. So you are going to execute a Ansible task whose name is create a sandbox instance. You can give any name. So you are just saying that you are executing this particular task called create sandbox, and you are saying that you are trying to execute on which host. So you are trying to execute this on host called local host. So it typically has a specific meaning. Actually, I will explain you what exactly this particular line host local host actually means. Okay, let me go to our source code. Okay, so here when I say Ansible playbook minus I inventory, right? So you remember this command minus I inventory. So it's minus I inventory is nothing but inventory is a particular file in this particular folder. Okay, so I am saying Ansible playbook to take the inventory file from minus I from this particular file called inventory. Okay, so you can see that inventory also. So that inventory is in this repository. You can see that particular inventory here. So this is inventory. So this inventory is nothing but a set of hosts. As I already mentioned, like inventory management is a specific topic in Ansible. You can actually group all the machines many machines into one single logical groups. Um, like production machines, you can actually make a single group. Development machines, you can make a single group, and so on, right? So you can actually group all the machines in a very logical way. So that's what is called inventory management, and you can actually mention a specific inventory file by giving the inventory file as a argument to the Ansible playbook by minus I. So which happened like this, minus I inventory. Let's see what actually the inventory is in this case. So I will try to open the inventory file. Inventory is nothing but a simple file here. Okay, so this is what the inventory file looks like. Okay, so basically inventory file can be of two formats. Always remember, it is not the only one format Ansible supports. Okay, so this is a typical INF kind of format, which is very simple format, which generally is in practice. So here you can see it's a INF format. The other formats is a YML kind of format. So there are two kind of formats where we can actually mention the inventory. Now, looking into this, right? So this is the INA format where you actually club groups by this syntax. So bracket open, bracket close, localhost. So this is the name of the group. Okay, so name of the group is localhost, and the below the group name you can have multiple machine names. In this case, localhost. This one line. This There is only one particular machine, and the machine is my local host itself. So that's what this one says. So this particular line is belonging to one particular machine only. So we have this group called localhost. It can actually be anything. The group can be of any name. You can give any name also. You can say that my localhost. You can say my localhost also. Okay, so cap lock, it can be caps lock also. So it's just a name. Okay, so it's basically the group name. So my group name is my localhost, and under my localhost there can be multiple machines. In this particular case, for the sake of simplicity, I have only one particular machine. The machine IP address is localhost, and it has some other attributes. I will explain these attributes later. Okay, so this is the typical example of a inventory. Okay, just try to understand this particular syntax, and if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, so I have this localhost inventory, and the localhost machine name was my localhost, but before it was inventory. So if you remember in the Ansible playbook, I have said that I want to take inventory file as input, as inventory file as input, and in ec2.yml, I have mentioned the host machine name. So host machine name I have given that my host machine name is localhost, which I have renamed it later to my host. So I can say that my host also, my local host. So it actually says under this inventory file, which which group I want to actually take into consideration to execute the task. Okay. So I have taken my local host as a group. I want to execute all the machines which are coming under the group called my local host, and I will execute the below commands, give me below tasks. I will execute all the below tasks on these machines, though the machines which come under the group my local hosts. Okay, it is clear to you, right? So basically, my local host is a particular group, and it is having a list of machines, and I will execute the tasks which are mentioned in the ec2.yml in that particular group of machines, all the group of machines. Whether the group has hundreds of machines, whether the group has one machines, the Ansible will take care of it. So in my case, the Ansible, my local host is having only one machine, right? So it will execute only on that particular machine. It will execute this task in this on that particular machine. Okay. Now, what is this particular task do? Before the task, I have defined something called variables. So where's is a particular keyword used to define a set of variables. Okay. So these are all the variables. So I have defined a variable name as key pair. You can define your own variable name. You can also say my variable. Okay. So variable name, variable value, variable name, variable value. Security group is a variable name and variable value. Image is a variable name and variable value is this one. Reason is this one, and subnet is this one. Okay. So these are all the variable names. You can define all the as many variable names as possible. So this is the way to define variable names. So it is a simple variable name, and these variable names are used inside the tasks. Okay. Let's decode what a task is. A typical task in this particular example is having a name. Yeah, you can self judge what exactly is the name. So it's nothing but the name of the task that you are going to execute. Okay. So the name of the task, you just named it as launch instance. Okay. Below that name, you have something called EC2, which is very interesting. Okay. So EC2 is nothing but AWS module. Okay. EC2 is a AWS module, which is understood by Ansible. Okay. Ansible works on something called module. You remember in the slides already I have mentioned that we are going to visit about what is Ansible modules, right? Go to the top. What is our agenda? So yeah, so what is our agenda? So we have something called ad hoc commands, right? So in these ad hoc commands, we also execute something called modules, right? So we can actually give a set of modules in the tasks also. Okay, so we are just giving an introduction of a one particular module called EC2. We will go deeper and deeper, and we'll try to execute more other modules as a part of our agenda ad hoc commands. Okay, for now remember that EC2 here in this case, which came before below name, right? EC2. This is basically a Ansible module, which is belonging to AWS EC2. Okay, so this module is set of libraries which are used to perform functionalities on AWS EC2 instances. So that is the main purpose of EC2 module. Okay, so once you say EC2 module, all these values are something specific to EC2 only. Okay, so then you say that you want to have a count of 3. So that EC2 will understand. EC2 will also understand what is key name. Key name is like which is used for authorization to connect to a EC2 instance and execute EC2 specific commands. Uh, and to execute that commands, it takes this particular authorization key name is an attribute. Okay. Similarly, groups, instance type, image, user data, weight, reason, all are ECT module specific. Okay. So you can actually self-judge. So assign public IP, which actually means that when you create a EC2 instance, um, that instance should have a public IP. Okay, so by if you say it's false, it will not have a public IP, it will just have a private IP. Similarly, there are other which subnet that particular new EC2 instance that you are going to create, and which region does it belong, whether you need to wait. I exactly don't know what exactly is wait. Okay, and what is the user data? What is the user data you need to look up for? Image name. What is the image name? These all are coming from the key variables. So these variables can be entered by using this syntax: curly brackets open two times and curly brackets open closed two times, and inside that you actually mention the variable name, and this image name comes from from this value image. So image AMI something is there, right? So that will be entered inside here. Similar instance type, you get it from here. Key pair, you get it from here. Security group, you get it from here. So all the variable names that you have mentioned here in the top, right? All the variables that you have mentioned in the top, they are inside the curly braces inside the tasks. Two curly braces in this. This is the syntax of uh, assigning the variable names to the task specific configurations. Okay, so this way you actually mentioned uh, the task. So finally you got it right, what this particular task is doing. This task is trying to execute a EC2 module, and it is trying to create three EC2 instances. It is trying to launch three instances by taking all these credentials, by taking the key value, key name, group name, instance type, in image, use the data, weight, reason, and VPC subnet. All this information it is trying to take as input, and it will, at the end of the day, it will try to create a three EC2 instances that you can actually see by after executing it. You can see that there are three EC2 instances created in AWS, right? So we have three instances created. So we executed the Ansible two times, right? Once you actually had a count of one, no count at all. That means it created one instance, and later it created three instances. So finally, at the end of the day, we totally have four instances now, right? Okay. So now we know how to execute AWS Ansible instance, right? So executing of AWS Ansible instance, to execute, you just need to execute the command Ansible playbook. Okay. 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 Let me come back to the terminal. So now we are comfortable with executing Ansible instance. We have seen uh, how to create a AWS Ansible installation. We typically configured our AWS machine to install Ansible, and later we try to execute one particular playbook. So by executing this particular playbook, we uh, yep. So by executing this particular playbook, we are able to launch three instances of EC2 by single command of executing the playbook. Okay. So I am logged out. So I am trying to log into the Ansible instance again, and because I have created a virtual environment, I have to go into that virtual environment again by using the Python command. So that command is there in our instructions. We can just execute this particular instruction again. So I am trying to log in as root. I logged in as root, and after logging in as root, I try to activate. I get into the environment. Now I can see my EC2. I can get into my AWS instance, right? AWS Ansible. Here you can see what are the commands that I have executed. Right now, I have executed a playbook called EC2YML. Using this EC2YML, I was able to create three instances successfully. So this is about the introduction of Ansible and introduction of creating EC2 instances using Ansible playbook. Okay. Let's go to the next topic then. So let me know if you have any doubts here. So it's a very critical fundamental thing that we need to understand here. I hope you all understand about how to execute Ansible by these steps. Okay. Yep. So we have covered the basic fundamental instruction of how to connect using Ansible. Now that you know how to create H2 instances, now the next steps. Let's go to the next step. Um, how does Ansible actually install or deploy softwares in remote machines by simple commands? How does it do it? Let's cover that particular topic. So let's go to that particular diagram in our slides. I recommend you to actually reiterate, go through this slides once again. So here I have covered all these things, right? Yeah. So let me also cover that. Yep. So let's me cover this particular slide. Okay. So this slide, how does it work? So here you can see that we have three servers running, and we have a centralized Bastion machine here. We should be able to connect to all the three servers and deploy the software. How does Ansible successful in deploying software in all these servers? How is it successful? So the key of how it is able to successfully deploy in different remote machines is using SSH keys. So before trying to connect, but before trying to deploy to different servers, and we need to actually configure all these machines for Ansible to be able to connect to those machines via SSH. Okay, so that is the main core thing that we need to actually do. So before running any Ansible command, we need to share the SSH keys between the Ansible machine. In our case, it is Bastion machine and the servers, right? So we need to share the keys among themselves so that Ansible should be able to connect to those machines via SSH. Once SSH keys are shared and Ansible is able to connect to the server machines via SSH, then it is pretty much straightforward that you just need to run the Ansible commands, whether it is Ansible and our commands or whether it is Ansible playbook commands. You just need to run the Ansible playbook or Ansible commands and give the host machine names via hosts, and you should be able to deploy the software of your interest. Okay, so that is the basic fundamental thing. So creating SSH based access is the key for any kind of Ansible deployment. Okay, so next topic of our interest is how do we actually generate SSH key? How do we share SSH key among the servers so that Ansible will be able to connect to the machines? So that is a topic that we will be covering as a part of SSH key based access. Okay, so this is not a new thing. We already have covered creation of SSH key, right? So same thing we are actually trying to iterate it. So if you want to go deeper into how to create SSH key, how the SSH keys are being shared among the machines and so on, I would actually recommend to go to this video. Okay, this video from Cloudx Lab actually gives step-by-step instructions of what is SSH key, how do the SSH key is being created, and what is the basic attributes that we use to create SSH key, how the SSH keys being copied among the servers. Those all steps are being mentioned in our as a part of this particular video in Ansible part 2. So I would actually recommend you all to actually go through this video and follow the steps. So I will give a quick glance after what is the reason behind giving this attribute of 4096 and so on. For now, the basic commands that we are using to create SSH key is using the particular command called SSH keygen. Okay, SSH keygen is the command that we use. Okay, okay, let me connect. So I am trying to cover the base fundamental thing. If you want to go deeper about SSH keygen and everything, you can just go to our video. Okay. So our command is pretty simple. Um, Again, I am logged out. Again, I have to connect to root, and here to log in as Ansible, I have to create SSH keygen. To create SSH keygen, there is a command SSH dash keygen. Okay. So a simple SSH keygen is okay, but for a secured purpose, for secured way of creating SSH keygen, you have to mention RSA as this one, and you have to mention 4096 as the binary format that you want to create. This will actually create SSH keygen for you. Okay. So where it is supposed to create SSH keygen, it will ask you where you want to create. So it will, you can just say, you can just enter, and the default location will be /root /ssh rdssh. And the passphrase, you may choose to enter the passphrase, or you may not choose to enter the passphrase, and that's it. You are ready with your SSH key. So this is how you actually connect to you create your SSH key. So your SSH key will be there in this particular folder /root .ssh Okay. So this is our RSA key. So when we do SSH keygen, we have two pairs actually. So RSA is a private key that we actually do, and that we get, and the public key will be under the name IDRSA.pub. So whenever we type SSH keygen, we will get two kind of keys. One is like IDRSA which is a private key, IDRSA.pub, which is the public key. Okay. So now we have two key value pairs ready with us. Okay. Now that we have IDRC and IDRC pub key. Now to perform SSH key connection, we need to transfer these keys among the other servers. So let's go back to our slide. So in our slide, we have mentioned that we have to distribute the keys, right? So the keys should be distributed to the remote machines. So in the diagram, we have 3 servers. In our case, actually, we have 4 servers. So we have these are the 4 servers that we have. So for simplicity, we can choose to actually connect to one machine, then the same commands can be used for other machines also to copy the RSS key. So so we need to copy basically we need to configure our machines to be connect to the remote machines via SSH. So we need to copy those SSH keys. What keys we need to copy? Whether we need to copy the public key, whether we need to copy the private key is the point of interest, right? So here we need to follow those steps. Okay. So these because this is a EC2 instance, we have created 4 EC2 instances with the same PM key. Remember, we used SSH, we connected using a key called bastion.pm, which got it as when we created the instances, right? So we can use the same PM to connect to all the machines, right? All the machines from the external world, from the external world, which is like from the public network. But internally when we try to connect, we actually use internally created SSH keys. So that private key public key we have to use. And in this case we have generated a public key and private key combinations, and this private key is something which needs to be maintained as secret, and we should not share it with anyone else, right? So this private key will keep it in the same machine where we have generated, and the public key can be exposed to can be given to those machines, can be stored copied to those machines where we need to actually connect, right? So that public key we actually can copy to the other machines where we need to actually connect. So that is what we are going to do. So we will actually copy this particular public key and copy it to the remote machines. In this case, we have 4 machines, right? For all the 4 machines which we have created recently, now these machines, this one and this one, all these 4 machines, we will actually copy those public key into this machine. And once we copy that into those machines, then we should be good to actually connect it via SSH. So once we copy that, we need not actually mention any username and password. We need not mention the PM files also. We just need to have we just can connect to that machine by using SSH. It is as simple as that. Okay. So those steps of copying the public key, private key are there here. So these steps I will actually explain you quickly. So you so once you generate the key value pair, right? So you, as I have already followed, so I generated the key value pair. I generated the key value pair, and after that, I will copy the public keys to the servers. So to the servers to copy the public key, I already have this particular command. So this command I need to use to copy to those public uh, copy to those servers. Okay. So let me do that. So uh, here I have to mention the PM file that should be used to connect to the server machines. Okay, so in our case, our PM file is not AWS dash key, um, but it is bastion.pm, right? So we have to use bastion.pm to connect. Let's go there. Mhm. Let's do that step by step. Okay, so this is a command we need to use to copy our newly generated public key into the server machine. Okay. Now let me follow the steps one by one. Now I am in my local machine. Now I will connect to the Bastion machine. Before connecting to the Bastion machine, this you remember this is the bastion.pm file, right? So I will try to copy the contents of bastion.pm file first. So this is bastion.pm file, private key, right? So I will copy this particular bastion.pm file first. So just follow these steps, okay? So I'll copy this bastion.pm file. Okay. Now I'll connect inside the machine. Now I will just enter into the machine. Now I am inside the machine. I will log in as sudo su. That means I will log in as root. Now I am logged in as root. Okay, it's typo error sudo su. Now I am logged in as root. Now here I will create a bastion.pm file here to be able to connect to other machines. Okay. Now I am creating a bastion.pm. I'll just do a copy. So I created a bastion.pm file. I had to change, you remember I had to change the mode. I had to change the mode to 400. Okay, so now I have PM in my AWS machine. So this is the AWS machine. I already have bastion.pm there actually, right? So now I should be able to connect, I should be able to copy the IDRSA public key, which I have created here. So those keys will be there here um, in SSH folder, right? The folder location, which I already, yep. So that folder location is, okay, let me see if I have .ssh here. So these are the files, these are the keys I already have created just now using SSH keygen, right? So I need to copy this particular file, idrsa.public file to the remote machine. So let me select the remote machine to which I have to copy. Let me select one of them. So let's say this is the machine I need to connect to, right? So go to this particular machine, make sure that I have SSH connection enabled to it. Does it have? Yeah, so it has 2022 port, right? Port range is port 22. That means I should be able to, I am able to connect to it. Let me check if I am able to connect to this particular machine or not. To connect to this machine, I should able to say, click on this connect and this one. Let me check whether I am able to connect to this machine or not first. Yep. So I am able to connect to that particular machine now. Okay. So I'm able to connect to. So let me exit out. I have verified that I'm able to connect using the bastion.pm file. Now I have to connect, I have to copy the public key. I have to copy the public key from my Bastion machine to that particular machine. So to copy that, I already have the instructions available in my slide. I just copy that commands. So this command is there, right? So this command cat command, you have to, this command will actually copy the public key that I have created just now to the remote machine, remote server machine. So, so I didn't copy it actually. Okay. So my private key is not AWS key, sorry. Okay, Control C. Where am I now? Okay, I'm in root. Now let me copy it again. So my private key is not AWS key.pm. My private key is Bastion, right? I have to make sure that I'm connected to Bastion. So by executing this command, let me execute it. It will copy my public key, which is id rsa.pub, into the remote machine. Into the remote machine. Okay, the remote machine IP is also wrong actually. So remote machine IP should be something else, which I will get it from the connect to EC2 instance here, right? So this is the remote machine name, right? So this is the machine I have to do. Not only the PM file, I have to change the machine IP address also. I just did a copy paste like that. So instead of using this, I have to mention, the private key. Sorry, yeah. So I have to mention the private key. So go to the EC2 instance. I should get the private key. This is public key, this is a private key. Okay, private key, I'm going to use the private key. So I'll say the user, basically I have used this CentOS user actually, right? So I have used CentOS user. So for now, I'll just use CentOS user only. I can create a separate user also later. For now, I'll use CentOS user. I am using the private key of the CentOS of the remote machine. This will actually copy the IDRC private key here. Okay, so it did the copy now. Now I have successfully copied the public key into the remote machine's IP address. Now all I need to do, um, so now I can actually connect to the remote machine without using any key, without the requirement of any key. I can just do SSH CentOS dot this one. I can just say like this. See, now I am just logged into the remote machine without the requirement of entering any PM file. So before connecting, right? Always I used to enter via -i bastion.pm. This is the attribute I had to explicitly give. But once I copied the public key as an authorized key in that particular remote machine, all I need to do is like just connect via SSH and the machine name, SSH username and machine name. That's it. So by doing this, you should be able to simply connect to the remote machine, nothing else. Okay. So you are good to actually connect to the machine. So same steps you can actually follow to other machine. Remember, now you are actually connecting to the CentOS machine. So you are actually connected to the machine using CentOS user. So So when you say CentOS something, you are able to connect to the remote machine using user CentOS. Okay. So you are logged, you can verify that by seeing this. You logged into that remote machine by using user CentOS. So you just exit out of it. The same steps actually now you actually copied your public key to one particular machine with IP address 215, right? So you can follow the same steps and copy to other machines also. So we have 4 machines, right? So we can actually follow the same steps. So we have connected to this machine. Now we'll try to connect to this machine. So this machine also has a private key, this private IP address. So we can follow the same steps uh, like this. So all you need to do is change the IP address. Before you connected to 215 machine, now you'll connect to 49 machine, dot 49. Yes. So now you have connected to this machine also. Okay. Okay. So you are connected to permanently added 149. Next time let's verify the same thing again. Exit 157. Okay, so your public IP is 82. Your private IP address is 172.31.9. Okay, you are in this machine now. Let me go to the sudo su. Okay, so now you logged in as root. Okay, now suppose if I want to connect to this machine, all I need to do is get the IP address of this, and just say SSH and CentOS @ so on. That's it. You are logged in into that machine. You logged into the 215 machine. Okay. Now, now to copy to suppose for you want to copy to this machine, you just need to copy 164 IP address, and 164 is the private IP address. Okay. Okay. First time we need to copy it manually. First time we need to run SSH -I manually, and then later we can try as we did it for the first machine. So we will repeat the same steps. What is the machine IP address? 226. So 226 is, so I did it for the first machine, which this is the first machine I tried it for, which is 215. Then I will try to repeat it for 49 machine. So I need to do SSH -I bastion.pem CentOS. Mhm. Okay, so I am inside this second machine with IP address 49. I'll exit. Now I will copy this PM file for 49. Yes, successfully copied now. Now I will log in without PM file, that is SSH, without PM file, without giving -I attribute, without any authentication. I'll just say 49, CentOS 49. Yes, so I am login. I am able to log in without any authentication. Okay, I am coming out. Similar steps we can actually follow for other machines also. Like for this machines also, I will actually do the same steps. So, so by this you understood, right? How do we actually copy the created ISA public key private key? How do we create a public key private key pair using SSH keygen and copy that particular public key into the remote server machines so that next time we silently log in into the remote machines. So once we are able to successfully silently log into those remote machines, we can execute any commands which can be used by Ansible. Whenever we execute Ansible playbook, then it will automatically connect to that particular remote machine and execute the specific tasks. So that is the main purpose of doing the initial configuration setting up of the private keys. Okay. So this is the way actually we do the copy of private keys, public keys and private keys copying. Okay. So you understood, right? So if you have any doubts, again, you can actually go through this particular video. Um, in the part two, it actually elaborates the steps about how to what is the main purpose, how do we actually copy the private key public key on servers. We go through this particular slides, also go through this particular part two session. It will completely explain you about the uh, creation of SSH keys. Okay, so we have covered this part two session also. Okay, now next step we will go through is once we understood um, what is the purpose of SSH keys? How do we copy the SSH keys? Next step is we will go deeper understanding of inventory management. Okay, give me 1 minute. I'll get back. 1 minute. Let me come back. All right. Okay, I'm back. Yep. So we have discussed about SSH keys. What is the purpose of SSH keys in case of Ansible, right? Now let's move to next topic. Let's move to inventory management topic. Okay. So I have already given a brief about what is inventory management. I have shown you an example of inventory that we have already used in our EC2 instance, right? So that I will actually cover it again. Okay. So let me go to our GitHub. Armada AWS Ansible, right? So here, if you see a particular file, we have created inventory, right? So let's open this inventory and try to discuss more about uh, what exactly are there in it. Mhm. Okay, okay. So here this is one particular inventory. This is a particular inventory file. Actually, inventory file, this is one particular group. So the group contains one machine. The machine is a IP address called localhost. The IP address is localhost itself, followed by a few set of other variables, right? So what is the purpose of this very particular variable? I will try to explain. So Armada Ansible, Ansible connection. Ansible connection. What is Ansible connection? So this variable actually says what kind of connection you have to use to connect to that particular machine. So by this connection is equal to local host. That means that you need not have that machine is in your machine itself. So it is local. You need not use any other tool to connect to that particular machine. So that is the purpose of Ansible connection. So in case you want to connect to some remote machine, for example, let me explain you by an example. For example, you want to connect to a particular machine, remote machine, whose IP address is something belonging to the EC2 instance number one. Suppose I give this particular machine IP address. So its IP address is 172.31.12.215, right? So this is the IP address of that particular remote machine. So I can just add that particular machine IP address here. Is it in insert mode? Yeah. So I can just give this particular IP address 172.31. I will add a particular machine. I will say Ansible connection equal to SSH. Okay. So what does that mean is like I have another machine whose IP address is 172.31.12.215, and I am connecting to that machine. In order to connect to that particular machine, I have to use SSH connection. It is not a local machine, but it is a remote machine, and hence I have to connect to that particular machine using the tool SSH tool. So that is what I am saying by using by using this word. Okay. So other things are like by default it is Ansible. Ansible Python interpreter is Python only. You can use the same term. So you can actually add logical grouping of all the machines under one particular group. This particular group is called my host in this case particular case, and you can go on adding many number of machines. For example, I added this machine. I can add the third machine also, fourth machine, fifth machine, sixth machine. Like this, I can go on adding machines, and I can say that okay, so this machine IP address is 215, and the second machine IP address is 4149. So I'll just copy this particular IP address, and I'll actually um, I will mention that the second machine IP address is not 215, but rather than that second machine IP address is 49. Okay, its second IP address is 49. Third IP address also I can change. I can say second. I want third machine. Third machine IP address is 164. Okay, so you got it right. So you go on adding Revolution 37. Okay, so you go on adding IP addresses like this. So what does this actually mean? What does this mean? This means that you have created a group called my local host. Actually, my local host is no longer a better term. I can say that I can use a better word here. I'll say that these are all EC2 instances, right? So I will say that my EC2 instances. So I will create a group called my EC2 instances. And I will say these are all my EC2 instances. So I have like these all, for example, I have four only, right? So probably I will try to delete others. So I'll say okay, so I have four instances, five instances. One is localhost, and the other remote EC2 instances are these and this. So I have made a group. I have made a logical grouping of all my EC2 instances, and I have given them the name my EC2 instances. Okay. Similarly, I can have multiple groups also in my hosts file. Okay, so I just go and create another group. To create another group, all I need to do is create another group name with mentioned it in square brackets. I can say that okay, this is my production machines, maybe like prod machines. So I can create a separate group called prod machines, and prod machines I can use the same machines also. It doesn't mean that okay, I have used this particular machine here in this group. I cannot use this particular machine in this group. I can use the same IP address also here. So I can copy the same IP address. I can group it. I can group it here also. So this particular machine 215. True information belongs to both groups. It belongs to my EC2 instance also, and it belongs to prod machines also. Okay. So in order to connect to this machine, I can connect via prod machines group or via my EC2 instances also. Okay. Similarly, I can actually go on adding other machines also, like this. Probably I'll give different IP addresses. Okay, so prod machines, I have 3 machines in prod. Okay, and my EC2 instances, I have 5 machines in my EC2 instances. Okay, so this way you can actually group machines. And suppose I want to deploy a particular software in only EC2 instances and not in these machines, then I can actually just mention that in my when I execute the command, I can mention that I want to install a particular software, a module, using the playbook, and I can mention the host name as my EC2 instances only, and then all the software will be installed only in these particular machines. And suppose I want to install another software called software 2, for example, and that software 2 will be installed only in production machines. Then I can mention that production machine name, production machine. Then it will install. The Ansible will go ahead and install in only in production machines, which are these 3 machines only. So that is the main purpose of inventory management and grouping. That is how you actually group all the machines using the inventory management. Okay. So so you have already done an example, run an example of such. You have done an example. I'll just re-explain you what we have done. So if you see in our uh, ec2.yml, which I have executed just now, right? Just now, um, in our EC2 instance, just you have mentioned that host name. Host name, you have already mentioned that. So in host name, you have already mentioned my localhost. Instead of localhost, you can actually go ahead and say, no, I don't want to install in localhost, but I want to install in prod machines. By saying this single line, by actually mentioning that particular single line, uh, you can say prod machines here. Now once you execute this particular EC2 YML, it will execute in only those machines in inventory. If you go in only those machines which belong to prod machines, that means it will execute in only these 3 machines. Okay, that is the main purpose. So once you group them together, and you can just mention the group name in the host attribute in the YML file. So that way you can actually decide which machines you are going to select to make that particular deployment. Okay, so that is the main purpose. That is the way we actually deploy using the inventory files. And this is the topic that we have covered about inventory management. Okay, so we will actually use it explicitly everywhere whenever we use Armada, whenever we use Ansible commands, whenever we use Ansible ad hoc commands also, or whether we use Ansible playbook commands also, we will generally be going through this hosts file and inventory management every step. So I just wanted to introduce that inventory management, and the upcoming sessions, whenever we go through this, you will have a clear understanding of what files, what machines are going to be affected as a part of the deployment that we do using using Ansible. Okay. So with this, we will end the topic today, and we will just give a glance of what we have covered and what we are going to cover next, right? Yeah, so we'll go to our agenda file again. Now, in our agenda, we have covered about inventory management. Now, inventory management we have covered. We will be covering other topics. The other topics basically the agenda of our interests are ad hoc comments. So next we will be covering ad hoc comments. We have covered inventory management quickly. Now next session we'll be covering ad hoc comments, and after ad hoc comments we'll be covering playbooks. And if time permits, we'll go on extra things like configure management and role management. So I would encourage you to actually, if you have time, go through these slides, part 1 and part 2, part 3, part 4, So please go through all these slides. They're very useful. And next session, if you have doubts, if you have already covered, if you have doubts, let's discuss more about it. Okay. For now, we will end the session for this week, and probably we'll meet in the next week. Okay, then have a nice week going ahead. We'll meet in the next Sunday then. Thank you all. All right. Thank you, everyone.